Have you ever thought about how ancient texts, these instructions from thousands of years ago, could hold a deeper meaning? Kind of like a code, hidden right there in plain sight, woven into the very fabric of history? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore today. A divine symphony of color hidden in the Old Testament tabernacle. Really all kicks off with this one question. You see, the book of Numbers gives us what sounds like a pretty straightforward moving checklist for the Ark of the Covenant. But what if it's so much more than that? What if it's actually a roadmap to redemption? And what if every single color choice was a prophecy, pointing to one central figure in all of history? So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the gospel in the fabric itself. Then, we're going to decode three key colors: blue, representing a holy distance; purple, for a royal meeting; and scarlet, for a final sacrifice. And then, at the end, we'll see how all these threads weave together into this incredible story of unveiled redemption. Okay, let's begin with the color of the heavens themselves, blue. In the tabernacle, this wasn't just some nice decoration. No, it was a massive theological statement about the very nature of God and his relationship with humanity. This is it. This is the instruction for covering the Ark of the Covenant, the literal throne of God's presence on earth. Now, this isn't just about keeping the dust off, right? This is a revelation. To cover the ark in blue is to wrap God's presence in the color of the sky, basically declaring that he is enthroned above all creation, totally holy, and completely set apart. So check this out. This timeline here traces the meaning of blue through the entire Bible. It starts in Numbers as a symbol of concealment, and then in Exodus it becomes a literal physical barrier. But then, something radical happens in the Gospel of Mark. And by the time we get to Revelation, blue's original meaning has been completely turned on its head. So the crucial point is this. In the Old Testament, blue is that unbridgeable gap, that necessary separation between a perfectly holy God and sinful humanity. It's a boundary made of glory, a visual reminder that you just can't casually walk up to holiness. And this just brilliantly illustrates the turning point. I mean, look at this. On the left, you've got the veil in Exodus where blue hides and separates. But then, on the right, in the person of Jesus, the very same God who was hidden by blue is now walking among us. The boundary becomes a bridge. The separation becomes a connection. It's a total reversal. And this is the scandal of it all, really. The infinite God, the one who was veiled in blue for our own protection, steps out into the open, totally exposed in human flesh, and then allows that flesh to be broken. Now just hold that thought and see how this idea builds with our next color. So, if blue is the color of heaven, what happens when heaven actually meets earth? Well, that brings us to our second act, purple, the color of a royal meeting. Okay, so we've established blue. It's the divine, the heavenly, the color of God's separate holy dwelling. Now, let's add the color of humanity, of the earth, of sacrifice, red, the color of blood. And when you mix that divine blue with earthly red, what do you get? Purple. This is the color of mediation. It's the color of the one who has to be both God and man to stand in the gap between them. It's the color of the priest king. And this color, it represents the cost. For humanity to get anywhere near God, a mediator is absolutely required. Purple is that mediator, and it signifies that access to God's presence comes at a very, very great price. So, fast forward again to that Roman courtyard. The soldiers, they dressed Jesus in a purple robe to mock him, as a fake king. But in their cruelty, they accidentally end up performing a prophecy. They clothe the one true king, the ultimate mediator, in the exact color that signifies his eternal role as both God and man. They had no idea. So in this moment of just ultimate humiliation, the deepest truth of the color purple is revealed. The joke becomes a coronation. Their mockery becomes a revelation of his true identity as the royal mediator who stands between heaven and earth. But, the story doesn't end with just mediation. The mediator has to actually do something. And this brings us to our final vivid color, scarlet, the color of a final sacrifice. Now, scarlet isn't just red. Think of it as blood that's been mixed with fire. And it symbolizes a crucial truth. Sin requires more than just forgiveness. It demands judgment.
It has to be cleansed, completely burned away. Scarlet is the color of that fiery, cleansing sacrifice.
This really connects the harshness of that judgment with the deepest motivation behind it. Scarlet is the color of a love so profound that it's willing to absorb the full penalty, to pay the ultimate price of that judgment itself. And here is the dramatic climax. On the cross, as Jesus bleeds, that purple robe of the mediator is stained, and it becomes scarlet. The one who came to stand in the gap now is the sacrifice that closes that gap forever. This slide just shows the whole arc of scarlet. It's incredible. In the Gospels, Jesus' robe is stained with his own blood, the blood of a sacrificial lamb. But then you get to Revelation, and he returns with a robe dipped in blood, but this time it's as a conquering king executing final judgment. The color of sacrifice becomes the color of ultimate victory.
So let's just put it all together now. Blue, purple, and scarlet. These are not separate ideas. They are three acts in a single, unified story of redemption.
The progression is so simple, but it's unbelievably powerful. Blue shows us where God was, holy and separated. Purple shows us how God came, as a mediator, both divine and human. And scarlet shows us what God did, offered himself as the final cleansing sacrifice. This is the gospel, literally stitched into fabric. Blue, the God we could not reach. Purple, the God who reached for us. And scarlet, the God who redeemed us. From a simple little instruction for a blue cloth in the book of Numbers, to the mock purple robe in a Roman courtyard, all the way to the scarlet blood of the cross, every single thread, every color points to one person.